Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode. This is a Christmas episode, and I figured this is a great time of year to show the special people that have come into the lives of many of the families I met. Usually, they're from people that have taken over as a spouse, or some of them started dating the sibling and are becoming part of the family. So, I hope you enjoy. Well, another thing that you obviously have to go through is a boyfriend. Have you found it difficult because you have a special needs child to find someone willing to?
Yes. Yeah, it was. It's very difficult to date in the circumstances because, and we're very, if I ever went on a date, the first thing I'd tell him was about Matthew, what he has. Just throw it right out there. If they're willing to have go out with you again, then if they're not, then they're not somebody you want to be friends with or go out with. So, yeah. But I think I haven't met anybody in 5 years except for my current boyfriend Keith, who would stand up to the challenge of Matthew and embrace it as a plus and not a negative. And I always said for years, I just want someone to think that Matthew is a benefit rather than baggage in a relationship. And he does. He thinks Matthew's like the most amazing boy and is excited that he's here and then not. So yeah, but it is hard. I think so. It took 5 years to find someone who thinks that he's great and actually thinks he's like a plus.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I met some really cool guys. One family in Candace. The son has San Filippo, and there's 2 daughters, and the father just left when they found out they had San Filippo, and she's now married or getting married to someone who's been there for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Or something. I think that's great.
Yeah, they're special people.
Yeah.
And they are out there.
Yeah.
You have to find them.
They're definitely heroes.
They are heroes. This is as we're heroes in the situation. There's heroes out there who are just got the hearts of gold, and they're a small percentage of the population. I think men and women both who have true hearts and true strength are a very small subset of people I've met.
Yeah.
But they're out there.
I'll take your word on it.
Yes.
Okay. And now, I don't know, mind if I mention, you're not the biological father, correct?
That's correct.
How did you react to meeting the 3 of them?
Nervous, obviously, but the very first time that my wife and I interacted, she was very upfront. I mean, I knew she had kids because we went through online through a dating site. So I knew she had kids, but one thing she's very upfront. First email she ever sent me, I have a special needs son. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I think back on it now, I didn't really think anything negative about it at all.
I will applaud you on that. I don't think I've met any other who had to deal with that situation. Even my own stepfather, we didn't even know I had anything. And then by the time they found out I had something, his son with my mother was born. So he didn't even know what he was getting into. And you obviously knew.
I didn't know all the details, obviously, but And once I found out and after I met him, I was completely easy with it. No problems. And I just think back, it's just God's timing. It truly is. Because when my wife said when we first met, he had just started to calm down in the stage of his San Filippo, which what she told me was when you first get it, that's why she mentioned they went to see psychiatrists, because they thought he was something mentally wrong with him, which it wasn't. It was just the San Filippo syndrome in its first stage, and it just, I don't know how to put it, it just makes you...
It made him pretty much slightly psychotic almost. I mean, for a lack of a better way of saying.
So, I mean, he was pretty calm at that point.
He was in a wheelchair part of the time by that point, so he wasn't quite as mobile. He was a little easier to control.
Like I said, it was just God's timing. But when I remember the very first time I came in and saw him, though, like I said, I was in complete peace with it. I was in complete peace with him, and like I said, all I have to do is I just have to thank God for it, because it was all him, really.
And he came, I'm going to interrupt you because I have to share a funny story. He came in right off the bat wanting to help. It wasn't, he came into the picture and wanted to just kind of be a backseat navigator. He came in and was hands-on. I remember during the period of time when we first started dating, I had no help with Henry. And Joseph would come over in the evenings and he would stay late sometimes and let me sleep, and he'd kind of keep an eye on Henry a little bit for me. And he decided he was going to try to be helpful and not wake me up to change a diaper because Henry needed changed. And I got up the next morning and went to change Henry's diaper, and bless his heart, he had never changed a diaper before in his life, I don't think. And poor Henry's laying in a backwards diaper. The plastic was against his skin. It was backwards and inside out, but I couldn't be mad because the fact that he was even willing to try made my day.
Yeah, you get an A for effort, and then
A for effort.
an F for actual pulling it off.
But he's gotten better since then. He can change a diaper now.
Mm-hmm.
So, since you came into the picture, have you learned anything from Henry, or anything you want to mention?
Yes, he's taught me about strength. And we talked about this as a family one evening. He is stronger than anyone I can ever think of. He truly is. No, he cannot walk. He cannot talk. He couldn't defend himself if someone were to attack him, but in every other sense of the word, he is the strongest person I know. And you just think back to the things you're going through. Well, this kid, he is fighting for every breath of every day. And he wants to live. You can tell that just from looking at him. So, he's a great inspiration to me.
Now, Jason, you're not the biological father.
Right.
When did you two, I guess, start your relationship?
4.5 years ago?
5.5 years ago.
5.5 years ago?
You got married 5.5 years ago, right?
No, I got married 4.5 years ago.
Okay. What was your first impression, or do you remember when she told you she had a son with a disability?
Yeah, I was fine with her. She told me she had kids and that one of them was special needs, and that's never fazed me with anybody, let alone her. So I told her that they were fine, bring them over, I'll meet them too, and proceeded to play with them just like I would have played with any kid. So.
Cody, what did you think when you first met Taylor?
When I first met Taylor, I was actually very surprised. just how you kind of asked the question before, did you feel like you kind of needed to explain things? I kind of wasn't explained anything.
Really?
Well, I remember Brittany saying, yeah, my brother, he's got, some disease. I think she even said what MPS was, which I can't pronounce it.
Mucopolysaccharidosis.
Yeah, she said that, and I was like, way over my head. I was like, okay, whatever. When I was open to anything, but she didn't explain to me the physical. I didn't know that he was going to be only 4'4", and so I was like, whoa, nice to meet you.
He claims he's 4'4". I'm 4'4", and he's shorter than that. So.
I know height is very important to you guys.
Oh, you have no idea.
So I was very, taken aback. I was like, "Whoa, I didn't know he was going to be short." But I mean, I wasn't going to treat him any differently, and that's one thing that you realize is like, hey, this is just he's a member of their family. I need to treat him just like anyone else, and that's one thing that helped me be accepted in the family. To be honest, was they saw that I treated him like a normal person. That's how he wanted to be treated. He didn't want to be treated like someone special. He just wanted to be treated like he was a normal person. And so, yeah, I mean, and yeah, if you, nobody wants to see somebody treat somebody differently. So.
As you've just seen in the video with Cody, he talks about how nobody wants to see anyone treat someone they care about different. So I figured, I wonder if some of the other siblings felt the same way. So, here's what I found, and I hope you enjoy it.
As I got even older, it's funny that I used to have a little test where I'd bring girls around Richard to see how they'd respond to him. And, if they'd respond well, that means they could move forward. And if they didn't and felt uncomfortable, then I felt a little uncomfortable, going on with the process or whatever. So it's a good gauge. I think I'd always have Richard there to gauge people for me and really tell maybe a good soul from someone who not necessarily is bad or just because they feel uncomfortable around Richard wouldn't be a good person, but I wanted to surround myself with people that would really feel comfortable around Richard.
It's something that I notice immediately about somebody and makes a really big impact on what I think of them. How they would, like when people meet my brother, like how they interact with him and stuff is a really huge deal.
Actually, this gentleman that I interviewed earlier today, he was talking about how his brother has Sanfilippo, so he's not, mentally he's affected greatly, so he'd always take his girlfriends or people that he was interested in to meet his brother.
Yeah.
And depending on how they reacted and if they were all like weird about it.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
He was like, no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we were discussing how it's not that they're people who don't know how to act are bad. It's just people that are okay with it are usually better.
Yeah, no. If I ever brought a friend or a boyfriend or anything over and they were
weird.
If they were weird or they just made him feel uncomfortable or stared or just anything. Like, ask me all the questions you want. I would love to tell you about it. I tell people about it all the time. And I think that it's better when people are willing to ask questions respectfully, but when you're just kind of...
No, she did not. The
Okay.
first time she ever met my family was at Richard's funeral.
Okay. But you tell her stories about him.
Yeah, she's upset she never met him. It was a really weird thing, like, actually having Lucy meet my family at the funeral was really a unique situation, to say the least, but in a way I felt like, I had finally met Lucy. We'd probably been together 6 months or so, and I do feel like in some way, like, he knew that experience was going to bring us so much closer, and it did. It's almost like I feel like he waited until we were together for it to happen, so that could happen, if that makes any sense.
It does. The next few videos are about the importance of your partner and what happens when some people just can't deal with the situation and they end up leaving. So one of these is through the perspective of a child. The other one is through the perspective of someone that is divorced. And the other one is actually, the other two are from couples that have managed to still stay together even throughout this difficult time. So, enjoy. Your father's same father as John, right?
Yeah.
And he's never been around?
He was around for the first 6 years of my life. He lived with us. And then, actually 8 years of my life he lived with us. John was born when I was 6.
Okay.
And when my brother was born, he kind of never could really wrap his mind around the fact that John had something wrong with him, and he always expected him to make a full recovery and be the son that every father wants to have, that wants to go and play sports and all that stuff. And I don't think he's ever really accepted that John will never be normal.
You've mentioned your wife. You guys are no longer together, correct?
That's correct.
How recently?
Like 2 years ago.
Is there any relation to MPS, or just some people don't?
It couldn't have helped.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, MPS is stressful.
Okay, so it's basically just one thing on top of one.
Life is tough.
Okay.
Just remember, everyone knows life is tough.
Because he just turned 4, so I know Dr. Munzer always says when they're 5, you can clearly say whether they're attenuated or severe, but those early years of not knowing which way Aiden was going to go were so scary. Scary isn't even the right word. I mean, to think about having to watch your son lose their skills. We're fortunate that we haven't had that yet.
Yeah, the first couple of years were very, very difficult. Put a huge stress on Jen and I, in our relationship, our marriage, and just every aspect. It was a life stressor that we never anticipated having to deal with.
You know, the depths of sorrow that we've had, and you know, being in the ICU, and you know, looking at each other at, you know, I'll just say everybody's gone and you're staring, you know, at the machines, the monitors, and each other. You learn something about yourselves and at each other that you can't find in any other place. And I can tell you that she's a very special lady, because I've been able to see, you know, in my wife, a person who really has stood up and fought and done it very admirably. And like I said, you don't get to see that when you don't have a situation like that.
Well, everyone, this is goodbye. This Christmas episode is now officially over. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it taught you guys a lesson. And please remember to cherish those you have around you. As we learned from the tragedy that happened 2 weeks ago, you never know what life will give you. And 1 minute someone can be there, the next minute they can't. So just try to enjoy and love each other, and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I will see you all in 2013.
These words that I proclaim, they might sound cliche, but you gotta do what you gotta do to keep from going insane. It's not about losing the weight, it's not about making the grade, it's about creating your own fate through the love you cultivate. It's not about trying to be perfect, it's not just scratching the surface. You have a beauty, so much more than just skin deep. Don't care what people say, just follow your own way. It's It's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. It's not about hit or miss. It's about following your bliss. It's about being brave. Your own life you gotta save from drowning in the sea of mediocrity. Don't let them tell you who to be. Only you can set you free. It's about planting the seed. It's about being who you need instead of throwing away the key. Being open to receive, no matter what's your age. If you're black, white, straight or gay, there's no more time for shame. 'Cause you're dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. We're dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. Smoke from a burning flame. With every dream there comes a haze. Gotta have some faith when you're dancing in the rain. These words that I proclaim, they might sound cliche, but you gotta do what you gotta do. 'Cause you're dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. Just dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. You have a dream, you best believe it. It's only you who can achieve it. If at first you don't receive it, pick yourself up, don't stop believing. When you're scared and feeling cheated, just remember you are needed. How can they say we've been defeated? We're here together, dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. Just dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain. Dancing in